Welcome to the Literary License Podcast retrospective as we explore anthologies. Anthologies have been around since the 1800s with classics by Poe, Hawthorne, Stevenson, and Lovecraft to name a few. Motion pictures have been exploring anthologies since the 1930s until today, with even television using the format. Come with us as we celebrate the anthology films through the ages.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Literary License Podcast, and it is our anthology series. And today we're going to be discussing, unfortunately, the final two Amicus anthology films, The Vault of Horror from 1973 and From Beyond the Grave from 1974. Before we get started on that, let's see who we've got with us. We've got Vicki Ray with us. How are you, Vicki?
I'm good, guys.
And Keith Chago is with us.
Hello, folks.
And I am your host for the anthology series, Joe Randazzo. And before we get started, let's see what everyone's been up to, starting with you, Vicki.
Not a lot. It's been raining. Every time I try to go outside and get shit done outside, I can't because we're waterlogged in Texas. I have no idea why we're doing all this crap this year. But other than that, not a whole lot. We've been kind of just not doing much. We've been working on our house. But when I've been watching, what did I watch? I watched this weird movie called Men. It was made in 2022.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I don't even know how to describe that film. It was just a strange film, but I would say you have to watch it. It wasn't bad.
Oh, no, it's not bad at all.
It was weird, though. It was an A24 film, I think. Wasn't it an A24
Yeah,
film?
it is an A24 film from, I think it's Alex Garland, the director of Civil War.
I can't recall. It was just kind of a strange film, but other films, I love their films, though. So far, they haven't made one I've hated. I still haven't seen the Civil War yet. I keep hoping that'll stream soon, but
I haven't seen that yet either.
I keep hearing everybody's mad. It was not what they were expecting, so I've heard a lot of whining about it. So I don't know.
I heard the point that he was trying to make was with all the talk from both sides about how a civil war would be good. You guys have the United States hasn't had a home front war in centuries at this point,
right.
not since the Civil War, I think. So
the whole point was to say how bad it would probably be.
Yeah, maybe you guys should all chill the fuck out.
I don't know what the fuck everybody says. What's the problem then? I just got to see it.
I'm gonna have to eventually see it.
And I watched the new Ghostbusters with Ash. It was cute. You know, you can't replicate ever the first time you saw that in 1984, that feeling when you saw the first Ghostbusters, but it was cute. I didn't hate it. I'm glad I watched it. But finished Outer Range. There's only 7 episodes of this. It really pisses me off because I really wanted to see. Hopefully they'll do a 3rd season because I really want to see how this ends. And I forgot about this one. It's an oldie but a good one. Midnight Meat Train. I love that movie. It is so good. I watched that the other day. I can't believe they got
that old
Cooper to do it.
It's not that old.
Well, no, it's not that old. It's kind of old.
What is it?
I mean, we're
kind of
early 2000s.
Anything before 2020, I consider pre-Columbian art at this point for whatever reason. But I don't know why. I just love that movie. I love Bradley Cooper in it. It's such a good movie.
I was going to say the 2 movies we're covering today are at least 30 years older.
Yeah, they are. They are. I guess my warped sense of reality lately has just gone to the wayside. And I started watching all the old Xena reruns again. I don't know why. I just love all that old shit.
You mentioned that last podcast that you were revisiting Xena.
Yeah, I'm thinking of the 3rd season. It's just, I mean, back in the 90s, I thought it was. Now it's so cheesy, but I still love it. I mean, you got some, Sam Raimi's in it. You got Carl Urban came out of it. You got Lucy Lawless. I mean, there's a bunch of people in it that proceeded on with different things. So it's not totally bad. Carl Urban's such an asshole in it as Julius Caesar. I mean, he never plays a nice guy in any. Well, I mean, I know he wasn't even a nice guy. Pete's Dragon. He's
Star Trek.
Dick, huh?
He played Bones in Star Trek the movie.
Did he really?
And he was
I don't
Judge
remember
Dredd
that.
in the Judge Dredd remake from like 10 years ago. That was actually really,
that's
really good.
true. But he wasn't a nice guy. I mean, he's never played a nice guy.
And unfortunately, that version is so good, but it failed at the box office, so we're never going to get another one.
But it's got a cult following now.
It does.
You know what? Everything that fails at the box office almost always gets a cult following somehow. I don't know. Somebody will appreciate that movie. I have noticed. There's always somebody who will appreciate it. Or at least I think so. I could be wrong. But
Yeah, but
not
it
a whole lot. Huh?
But it doesn't help us in getting any better stuff out there if people don't see it when it counts.
I was in a forum 2 days ago, and they were going to make an 8-parter series out of Time Bandits, and people were so pissed off about this. They're saying Hollywood sucks. They can't ever do anything original. This is just more proof that they have to destroy everything that was made prior to such and such. I mean, these people were going on. I stayed out of the conversation. But I mean, I was just like, because it doesn't mean you should.
Well, they do have a point, though. I mean, God, there's a lot of remakes or a lot of reboots.
The fans weren't happy.
Well, there's a lot of reboots and remakes going on. I mean,
there always have been.
I mean, it's Time Bandit. I mean, you can't bring back, Graham or John Cleese's part in that movie, or you just.
I mean, the thing is, but then saying that, I like 12 Monkeys, the TV series.
Yeah, you did. I've not seen that.
I mean, I think they're not remaking the movie; they're making a TV series, right?
Yeah, it's supposed to be an 8-parter. That's what I read. Now they're actually I think they're actually filming it, and I think that's what it was. Mostly grumblings from England. That's where the people are just more or less. A lot of people are mad here, but they were really hot over in the UK over it. So,
I mean, because it's for TV, I have higher hopes than if
it's for Netflix, probably. I'm assuming.
Yeah, but I'm sitting there saying because it's made for TV, I have higher hopes than I do for if it
was a movie
film. Yeah, because if I look at the television properties that have done this. MASH, Alice from Alice Doesn't Live Here Anymore, all through history. Right. And TV series have been quite good. Westworld is another one. Bates Motel is another one. The Hannibal from Silence of the Lambs is another one. I mean, the TV shows are excellent.
Some of them, that's true. Some of them turned out all right.
And sometimes they tend to be better than the movie sometimes. 12 Monkeys I liked a lot. Dead Zone TV series I liked a lot. So
yeah, that's true. That one was good.
So when it comes to TV shows, sometimes turning a film into a TV show.
Well, that's what they were saying that it was going to be. I'm pretty sure that's what it's ending up as. So I guess, but it is actually in production somewhere. So I guess we'll see whatever. I'll have to find that article.
But even the Evil Dead TV series is brilliant. Or the Chucky TV series is brilliant as well.
Yeah, the Evil Dead one, I only saw the first season. I got to watch the rest of it.
I don't think I watched. No, I did watch some of it. I didn't watch it all.
It's strange because the first couple episodes all start out with a song off the Deep Purple album, Machine Head. It's like the first 3 or 4 episodes. And then they randomly just stop because I thought it was going to be a theme throughout the whole series, throughout the whole season. And then they just stopped doing it midway through, no rhyme or reason. So it was like, okay, you just randomly chose 4 songs from Machine Head. What about yourself, Keith? What have you been up to?
It is a TV series and it's actually got trailers. So yeah.
So it's already made.
2024. That's what it's saying.
All right. Well, there you go. How about you, Keith? What have you been up to?
Well, I want to see Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. Bloody fantastic. I
was going to try to go tomorrow.
I've seen a long, long time. I am an Apes fan anyway, but yeah, it was great. I saw it at the IMAX. 2.5 hours of pure bliss. It just moves forward.
You went to IMAX to see it. I love IMAX.
Well, I got the AMC, so it cost me 99p. So yeah.
You did that too?
Yeah. So the only bad part about the cinema is I could have done without the half-hour trailers and
I know.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
You know the one that's playing Nova? She's started popping out in a lot of movies. Took me a while to figure out who she was. I knew her. It was driving me nuts. She was the little girl in The Walking Dead. It's like, look at the flowers. before Carol pops her in the head. That's her. It was
Ah.
making me crazy. I couldn't figure out who was playing Nova. And it's like, then I figured it out. She's in a lot of stuff lately. She's a good little actress.
It was a great film. I mean, I highly recommend it. So far, it's one of the best films I've seen this year.
Did they stick close to the old one, or are they sticking with the novels?
It is, well, basically, it's just moving the timeline along. So after
Well,
war,
because it's a lot different. Because Charlton meets Nova as a different situation.
well, it's not the same Nova. They make a joke of that because I don't want to give into it, but
Right.
when they name her Nova, the orangutan goes, "We named them Nova. That's what we name all of them."
No, that's right. Because the little car thingy they found. So they
Yeah.
name all the female human girls Nova.
Yeah.
How funny. Okay. I can't wait to see it. I'm all excited. I gotta go watch it.
Don't
So-
give away anything else yet because I have to
Yeah,
see
no,
the new. I have to see all the new movies. I found
absolutely love them. They are
I found the
fantastic.
entire series at Half Price Books the other day. So yeah, I got the entire series in
Fantastic.
one fell swoop.
The new ones are fantastic.
But the original and the new the three latest, so I could marathon all of them and go see
You
it.
won't be disappointed. Seriously.
Yeah, I probably should have seen them. Matt Reeves directs two of them, and I love Matt Reeves'
I
work.
was watching The Searchers the other day and going, thinking of you though, however, just like, how did Joe miss this one?
I mean, I didn't miss it. I just never watched it until and that was the whole point of the podcast. And yeah, I mentioned it. I was on the Shameless podcast where the whole thing is
If you
the
haven't
host
seen
Michael
it,
Vyers
that's a good
talks about the
premise.
film.
I like that.
Yeah, the film that you're ashamed to say you haven't seen. And my whole thing is always like, there's 150 years of cinema
There's so
history,
many-
so
yeah.
there's nothing you should be ashamed of not seeing.
Absolutely.
But yeah, so we talked about The Searchers, and yeah, as soon as that goes up, because we talked about quite a few things. So yeah, that'll be up soon. But yeah, you watched it recently too, then?
I watched it 2 days ago. It was rainy out, and I was like, I think I'll watch it. We were talking about, you know what I never noticed was that the lady who plays Martha, and was it Ethan as John Wayne? They were in love or something. She just looks at him like she just madly in love with it throughout that whole few scenes, and I never noticed that before.
Maybe
She's
she
like
wasn't.
in love with her. She's in love with her husband's brother. I'm just like, I never noticed that before. She is.
We discussed that in on the podcast, and the idea that maybe Ethan is actually the girl's father, possibly. I mean, it's never spelled out, but it's possible. That might have been part of it.
That could be. Now I'm gonna have to try dig for stuff like that because that's gonna bug the shit out of me. There's a story there.
Oh. But the other thing I've been up to is I've been watching a TV show called For the Sake of Todd on Paramount Plus with Marcia Gay Harden and Skylar Austin. Really fun series. And on Shudder, they got the original Dutch film, The Lift, and the American remake called Down. They're almost same by same, but I suggest watching the American remake because it's a lot of fun about a killer lift.
A killer lift.
Or a killer elevator.
Killer elevator.
So excellent. I really enjoyed it.
A killer elevator. That's intriguing.
Yeah, and it's on Shudder. It has the unfortunate coincidence of being released right before 9/11. So nobody wanted to see a movie where people are dying in an office building. So
oh my God. Yeah. I used to be an admin, so I'm always down to seeing people die in an office building. I don't care.
But I have to say that I enjoy the film. It's very B movie kind of film.
Oh, yeah.
But Naomi Watts is in it. She's very good. Bernard Herrmann's in it. Hellboy. I forgot the actor's name.
Ron Perlman's
in it.
Yeah, that is Ron Perlman that did that, isn't it?
But it's a good movie. But what's kind of weird is that when I can't remember who directed it, but whoever directed it and cut it together, they have these weird places where it kind of goes black and then the next scene stops. So it almost feels like it's like a commercial break supposed to be slotted in there.
Shudder's been doing that lately, apparently, from what I've been reading.
Are they
I
going to
think-
go with commercials for extra money like the
I
other?
don't know. I have no idea, but
I
people have been
hope not,
complaining
because
about it
I
in some of the
resent
forums.
people that make me watch commercials. I won't buy that product just because I'm so fucking pissed that they made me watch their fucking commercial.
You see, that's the thing. If I'm already paying for it, then you shouldn't be advertising.
Exactly. Why do I got to pay it?
If I'm watching it for free, like on Tubi, fine, advertise
Yeah.
because you got to make your money. But I'm paying
doing
you.
it too. Prime's doing it. Prime's
Yeah.
starting to charge for. I mean, their ads. I don't pay to watch it.
Well, the
Yeah,
worst
if I'm paying you, I shouldn't be.
you're
yeah.
paying a subscription anyway, so why are they asking you to charge? But so, I mean, the worst is Hulu and Disney.
Mm.
I mean, you'll get an ad before the show starts, then you get the credits, and then you get an ad,
Yeah.
and then like if you're watching a TV series, and then just like the 5 minutes before the end, you get ads, and then you get the end, and just before the credits come on, you get another ad, and you can't do anything until the credits go, so that way you can skip to the next.
Oh,
Gotta open that door.
Keith? Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. We missed everything you just said.
I go, the worst is Hulu, and
Yeah,
Disney.
they've been pretty bad.
They're the worst. So, but
Peacock at least just they play 5 minutes of ads and then they'll leave you alone and let you watch your movie at least. So I can handle that. But
I don't. But then there are other things like if you look at Fallout TV series, you got an ad at the beginning, and that was it.
Yeah. And I'm
Yeah.
fine with that.
So.
And it's usually quick.
I'm down with that as long as it's not. But I hate ads. Like what was it? Freebie and well, not Tubi, but Fossum. They have ads every 10 minutes.
Yeah, well, with the free service, I understand. So.
Yeah, exactly. I'm
every
fine with it on a
10
free
minutes-
service.
Well, I mean, the thing is it depends on what they're showing and stuff like that. They got to pay for their content somehow.
Well, I think I was watching Crank. Yeah, it was Crank. That's what I was watching.
Yeah.
That movie gives me an anxiety attack, both of them. Especially the second one where he's got the fake heart. That one really fucked with me. Like, Jane.
It's a very crazy movie. But other than that, not a lot going on. It's Memorial Day weekend here, and it's my sister's birthday, so probably
Oh, cool. You guys gonna do anything good?
she's gonna go spend it with her son. I ordered her gift, but I had to sit there and say US has the worst postal service ever.
Don't even get me going.
I don't even know what's going on in this country. I haven't been back for 36 years, and I've come back and like, what have you done? So
The postal service in North Texas is really bad. It's
like you get promised.
they send all of your shit to Dallas to mail it out back here to Dallas again. It doesn't make any sense how they do it. It just doesn't.
It's just that they promised you like dates and no one lives up to those dates. It's like you do expect shipment, and basically you're lucky if you get it within a week. So it's like, but it is what it is. I mean, it's only a birthday present. She'll get it 2 days afterwards now, apparently. But other than that, that's about it. Seeing a lot of this and that, but not a lot of stuff to even mention. So
Except for Planet of the Apes.
yeah, Planet of the Apes. Highly recommend it. If you've seen the new trilogy, this is the next trilogy, and it takes place, I think, about 150 years in the future from the last one.
They said what the date was, and I can't remember now.
Yeah. So it is, generations later. So
But the one with Mark Wahlberg has nothing to do with any
No,
of the timeline.
that was an attempt at a remake in 2001, and
So that's the only odd man out. Because I was talking in the forums about it.
I don't think this is related to the Heston.
yeah,
The new ones. They are.
Yeah, they are, because there are Easter eggs in there that
Don't they show the spaceship going up?
They show the spaceship.
One.
They show the spaceship. That was the first one. They show the spaceship going up. They also sit there and say that it got lost at some point. They say that in the second movie. They go, it's like the flu started when they lost that space. They lost the Icarus.
Oh, really? How did that go over my head?
Yeah, there's a lot of nods to the original that's going on here as well. I mean, well, the whole human chase in this one is not to the original, but like Caesar is being mentioned, and the religion of Caesar, and
That's right. Well, they mentioned Caesar a lot, the old ones.
well, yeah, because that was the birth of the religion. Well, I mean, the first movie.
Well, he was their messiah, basically,
Well, the first trilogy is basically the story of Moses, really,
for all
So-
practical reasons.
and then what's interesting about this one is that after you've seen the first three and the teachings of Caesar, how they're being changed and shifted to people like religion. So it's quite interesting. So I highly recommend it.
I definitely go to see it. I love the new series. I just can't fault it all. I can't. Not
And
at all.
I'd probably definitely go see it again. So
Yeah, because I haven't seen it yet. So maybe I can drag you out. I gotta go see it. I don't feel like driving all the way to the IMAX in Dallas, though. I'm not that ambitious.
It was. I mean, I sit there and say it's not a lot of UFC at the IMAX. Sometimes I see it's a wasted. Sometimes it's kind of wasted on some films. But this film's got style and content and everything, so I highly recommend it. So
every once in a while, there's a good one they put on the IMAX. I love IMAX, though. If you get the right film, it is such a trip. It's so enjoyable. It really is.
But other than that, that's what I've been up to. What about yourself, Joe? What have you been up to?
It's the end of testing season, so I've been doing mainly that. So yeah, these last 3 weeks have just been working at a high school doing tests, and then this week was doing the makeup exams. I can go back to being a night
You look all relaxed and rested. You don't look tired like you always do. You almost look like, wow, you look like you slept, actually.
Yeah. And the place that's been the bane of my existence for 10 years just asked me to come in tonight, and I'm about to text them no.
That's probably why you look all
no. No, I am not doing this. But yeah, well, I had a chance to see probably the worst reviewed movie of 2024 so far.
Really?
Madam Web.
What was it?
Madam Web.
My sister was watching
that bad?
5 stars. It is so bad that it is fucking amazing.
Stars bad or 5 stars?
Terribly
so
terrible.
Bad it's good.
Let me get to it. Terrible ADR. Lips aren't even fucking moving half the time with one character when he's speaking. Breaking the 180-degree rule. Characters doing things that make no sense. Like, for some reason, Dakota Johnson rescues these 3 girls. He goes, hey, you know what? Drives them to the woods in New Jersey and goes, hey, I'm going to go research what's going on. Why don't you girls wait here? Like, you just left them in the woods in New Jersey by themselves. Brilliant move. It is one of those movies that is embarrassingly bad.
Who's in it, Joe?
Dakota Johnson, Sydney Sweeney, one of the little girls from Ghostbusters Afterlife.
Okay. Do you think it was intentionally? Okay, you're saying
no.
It's so bad it's good. Is it?
Yeah, it's fucking great. It's so bad that it is amazing.
Oh, okay, so it's one of those.
It's going to get frustrating though, because every bad decision that the filmmakers can make, they make. When establishing Dakota Johnson's powers, it's filmed in the most jarring way possible so that you can't tell what's going on half the time. So yeah, it's so incompetent that you need to see it. Because this isn't a guy who had $50 and got his girlfriend to act in a movie that went on Tubi. No. This is Sony. This is a major studio. This is major money behind it.
Well, I remember my sister was watching it last week because it's on Netflix at the moment.
I think it's Netflix or something. I don't remember where it was.
It was out the cinema 2 months ago and it's jumped to Netflix this quickly.
What's the title again?
Madam Web.
Madam Web.
Madam Web.
You didn't hear how terrible this movie is? It was all over everything.
I haven't seen anything. I saw it advertised quite extensively, but I didn't hear it was bad or good.
Well, I think Marvel's very struggling.
Oh, it's Johansson's movie, isn't it?
No,
it's not Scarlett Johansson movie. Okay.
No, this is Dakota Johnson and Sydney Sweeney.
Yeah, I mean, Marvel's all over the place. I think Marvel. Let's put it this way: Marvel is so desperate that there's a movie coming out with Wolverine and Deadpool together.
Oh, I saw that.
But that actually looks funny. That actually looks good.
Yeah,
I'm
but
gonna say it actually looks good because Ryan Reynolds is funny. I don't give a shit. You can put him in anything, and I'm gonna laugh.
well, I mean, I'm just saying that I mean, that when you get something like that, though, that's like a
I
desperate.
wonder why. Do you think they're
Because
desperate?
we've been losing money in our franchises. Now we're going to go desperate. We're going to pay these two people a lot of money to come back and do a film together. So
You think that they're doing that because they're desperate, and so they're just trying to team up Wolverine and Deadpool?
yeah,
I mean, I think it was always in the cards. Because I mean,
think it was always in
the
the
first two
card.
Deadpool movies,
Well,
they
because
kept
he's outer
referencing.
X-Men universe anyway, kind of.
Well, I mean, the thing is, if you look at Marvel films, they have not been doing well for the past year.
Ew.
So
Aside from Guardians of the Galaxy, they all bombed.
Yeah.
yeah, so so that was it. I mean, going back to Madam Web, my sister was watching it. My she watches almost anything situation. She's not much. She's not much into films and stuff like that. But she's watching this going, this film does not make sense at all. She goes, I'm
Nope.
watching, and she goes, I rewound it a couple of times to see if somebody make sense of it. She goes, I can't make sense of this at all. She don't even know why I'm watching it.
No, it doesn't make a lick of sense, and that's why it's great.
Marvel? It's Marvel, right?
It's Sony. Marvel wasn't involved in the actual production. This is supposed to tie into the Marvel Spider-Man movies, which were also by Sony, but they botched it so bad that
I guess I'll have to watch it now. Is that bad?
yeah, Dakota Johnson was trashing this movie back when it first came out, and it's her movie. It's her big movie. And she was trashing it the entire time.
She was trashing it after the bad reviews came out because the weekend before, she was on Graham Norton in the UK talking about what a great experience and what a great movie this was. And a week later, the reviews come out, and then she starts trashing it.
So then she started shitting on it. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, she's a good actress, but she couldn't even save it from all.
I'll tell you this: seeing her made me think. You know what? I really do need to give those 50 Shades of Grey movies a shot. So
they're not bad at all. They're really not bad. They're not as seedy as everybody. I you know what? I just think
now that's disappointing. I want it to be seedy.
I like the movies, but you know what?
It's a rated X film turned into a PG-13 movie.
Christian Grey is a stalking rapist. That's all.
Yeah, I mean, after Me Too, I mean, they probably don't have the same revel.
I actually liked the movies. It was provocative. That's what it was. She wasn't doing anything she didn't want to do in the movie.
Were they actually PG-13?
No.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
They were very tame.
Well, I don't think that they should.
Way,
I wouldn't let a kid watch them. They were too suggestive. The red room, the blue room.
But that's what I'm saying. It's all suggestion situation. It was a bit like
she's really pretty though.
It's a bit like, I guess, how can I put this? It's a bit like Chris Columbus directs Crimes of Passion.
I like the third one. Finally, there was closure. Okay.
No, but what I'm saying is, most of them it's like really sexy thingy, and it's and because I remember the girls were reading the book.
Twilight's the same thing. Twilight's basically that movie, only it's
well, what you don't know is the Gray movies is fan fiction of Twilight.
Yeah, basically.
So basically, this bored Mormon housewife who basically obviously wasn't getting enough sex decides
obviously
she was writing
some great sex ideas though.
She's writing
it's a red room.
Well, but if you look at it, the sex between the two is between Bella and the vampire. So then they said, oh, let's turn this into a book, so they changed the names.
Yeah.
That's all they did. Situation, and she made a lot of money off it. So yay.
Yeah, they did. Well, it's the same thing. He was creeping on Bella, just like this other dude was creeping on her. I mean, let's face it, he watching her sleep. I mean that, and you know what? I was watching Batman: The Dark Knight Rises. Why can't for some reason I'm going to shut up after this. I can't get into Paddington being Batman for some reason. It just seems wrong.
Oh, you mean the Batman?
The Batman, yeah, Batman.
I think the fact that you referred to Robert Pattinson as Paddington is probably why you take him.
Paddington's fair. My head, yeah. But you know what I mean? It just didn't seem right. Just I don't know why. He was so young.
Well, I think I mean, the Batman is well made, and
It's well made.
I
Except for the fact that
appreciate
you can't fucking see anything.
Yeah, you can't see anything. That's the problematic.
It's way too fucking dark. I thought it was my TV.
I also think that Batman need to be a bit more, be younger.
Well, he was younger. He is younger.
Pattinson is almost 40 now.
Well, not by. Well, when was that movie made? 26.
2 years ago, 3 years
No, it
ago.
was 20. Yeah, it was like 2 years ago it came
21?
out. So
Yeah, but I think if they had a
He looks
younger,
young.
I think if they had a younger Batman who was
Like,
in his 20s, I don't know who, but someone who was more in their 20s who didn't seem, because this Batman is probably the same age as Michael Keaton was in the original. Though Michael Keaton looked a bit more mature, and Robert Pattinson looks mature.
how old? That's going to bug me. Okay, continue. Michael Keaton was how old when he made Batman? 'Cause
Batman.
That's gonna,
Well, he's probably in his 30s.
late 30s, I'd say.
Yeah, that's because it was around the same time as Mr. Mom and all that.
right.
So yeah, so that's my only thingy. I mean, the second part's coming out, being made.
Well, he's 72 now.
So, well, his career's really bounced back, hasn't it? I mean, he's showing up in everything lately. So, but
He is
He's
coming
72
back.
now. Yeah, he was 35. Or he's
He is
37.
coming back. He is coming back for Beetlejuice, right?
Yeah, he's in it.
yeah,
Yeah, he's Beetlejuice.
Okay.
So yeah, besides that, not much. Yeah, it's been mostly just working full time at the high school the last 3 weeks. That's it.
Sounds like you've been enjoying that.
It's definitely a lot less wear and tear on the body.
Yeah, I was
So
gonna say, you look really rested compared to. I mean, usually you look tired and stressed and sucking down 20 cups of Joe.
yeah, I've not been. That's the other thing. I haven't been drinking as much caffeine lately as I haven't needed it. So well. While we're on the subject of people with one foot in their grave, or in this case, all of them,
You?
let's discuss the Vault of Horror. The Vault of Horror, also known as Vault of Horror, Further Tales from the Crypt, and Tales from the Crypt 2, is a 1973 British anthology horror film directed by the great Roy Ward Baker and starring Terry Thomas, Dawn Adams, Denholm Elliott, Kurt Jurgens, Tom Baker, Michael Craig, Terrence Alexander, Glynnis Johns, Mike Pratt, Robin Nedwell, Jeffrey Davis, Daniel Massey, and Anna Massey. None of the film stories are actually from the Vault of Horror comics. All but one appeared in Tales from the Crypt, the exception being one that was from Shock Suspense Stories. The film omits the Vault Keeper character from the comics. So, in the wraparound story, we have 5 strangers boarding a descending lift one by one in a modern office block in London. They reach the sub-basement, though none of them have pressed for that destination. There, they find a large, elaborately furnished room that appears to be a gentleman's club. The lift door has closed, and there are no buttons to bring it back, nor any other exit. Resigned to waiting for help, the 5 men settle down with drinks and talk. The conversation turns to dreams, and each man tells of a recurring nightmare.
Enter death's waiting room, if you dare. Below the crypt lies the Vault of Horror, a treasure chest of the macabre, madness, voodoo, vampires, torture, and terror. All the things that make life worth living.
That's how it is. And how it always will be.
The Vault of Horror.
So, Keith, what do you think of Vault of Horror?
Vault of Horror. I mean, this is what's quite bizarre about this and the next one is that this is fantastic. I love this movie. I mean, every single one is great. The actors are all fantastic. I mean, the Anna and David Massey together as brother. I mean, they're brother and sister in real life. So
Yep.
Right. Oh, they are? I didn't know
Yeah.
that.
and so that's fantastic. The Terry Thomas story and Glynnis Johns. I love Glynnis Johns anyway. I mean, anything that Glynnis Johns does, I'll watch. I mean, she kept going to the day she died. Even in that bad movie called Superstar, where she plays the grandmother, she's still fantastic. Or While You Were Sleeping, or in her later career.
God,
But
she's been in a bunch of films, hasn't she?
Yeah, she was
She's
around
been
for
around.
decades.
she was in Mary Poppins, of course. So she's fantastic.
Got quite a few plays under her belt, too.
Yeah, up until she died earlier this year, I think she was still active.
Wow, this year?
Yeah, she died a
So-
few months ago.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that. Yeah.
I know
Yeah.
it was very recent. Let me look real quick. Go ahead and talk. I'll look it up.
Yeah. And I love, the one about the snake charmer, but there's not a single weak story in this. And, the other Amicus ones outside of Tales from the Crypt that we did in December, they kind of dipped in and back out situation. There's some laws, but this one was very tightly done, I thought.
Are these precursors to Tales of the Crypt? Is it the same
No,
creator?
this is the sequel.
It's a sequel. Okay.
It's-
Oh, okay. Okay.
Well, I mean, this is done for this. There is a comic book called Vault of Horror.
This is shocking
But-
suspense stories, or
Yeah, but
Yeah, they were all the EC
but they
comics were all related
these
to
are
each
all
other.
same people, right? Created
Yeah.
This John. Okay.
But the thing is that they're all based from Tales from the Crypt comic book. Even though there was a Vault of Horror comic book, they used
Right.
I think they didn't want to put Tales from the Crypt 2 on it. So I think
Suspense stories. I think that's what it was.
Yeah,
But-
this one takes 4 stories from Tales from the Crypt and 1 from Shock Suspense Stories.
yeah,
Okay.
but none actually from the comic book Vault of Horror. So
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
But saying that, you can tell where it's very, very tightly done. All the story.
These were great stories.
I think this source material is better than what we got with Robert Bloch's.
The one with the Edgar Allan Poe story.
Well, that was our issue with that one. If anyone wants to go back and listen, well, that was 2 months ago, 3 months ago.
About that.
I think all of us kind of felt the same way, which was the best story, or there really was only one story maybe worth seeking out.
Edgar Allan Poe story.
Yeah, the Edgar Allan Poe story with Peter Cushing and Jack
That really
Palance.
was a good story, though. That was excellent. With
So-
Christopher Lee.
But what I found quite weird, though, this one and the next one we'll discuss, is that these are, I mean, this is a great film, and the next one's a great film as well. But the weird thing about it is that it kind of went down into this. You had like the first one was great, and then you kind of went down to this kind of gone downhill, and here we are at the last 2, and all of a sudden they're pinnacled again.
Yeah.
Before they pull the plug on doing these again. So.
What was the first one? The Midnight Mass. That's the one where they stick the tap into the guy's jugular vein. I guess they blacked it out for the United States. I didn't know that when I was watching it. I was just like going, oh, that's so cool. I thought it was great.
It's such a simple effect, but it's gruesome. And yeah,
very gruesome. It's unsettling.
All the original versions of this that I'd seen as a kid, what would happen is when they string them up upside down, and then they cut away to, like all the vampires and ghouls like lining up with their glasses. Then when you cut back, there's just a freeze frame, the spout being in Daniel Massey's neck. It's just a freeze frame, and then it cuts back to all the vampires and ghouls and everything. So yeah,
Don't waste any time with this particular story though, because as soon as he says hello to his sister, he's killing her for the money. I mean, they didn't miss a beat.
Well, they have 5 stories to tell. They didn't have any time.
No, but I mean,
to dilly-dally here.
they just took off.
But to finish up about the effect, because it's really jarring. It's really jarring in the US version because like it literally is just a freeze frame. But now, thanks to the Blu-ray, the original version from the UK is on the Blu-ray. So the Blu-ray has a selection. you could either do the original US theatrical version or the open mat UK version and pick the UK version. It may be 4:3, but it may be 4:3.
This wasn't a nasty though. This was after the
No.
nasty.
No, it was before.
The Blu-ray I had of Vault of Horror. I got this in, but it wasn't. But I had the shock,
Yeah, same one. I have the Shout Factory version.
the one that comes doubled with Tales from the Crypt.
Yeah.
Okay, because mine, I saw the one with the thingy in it, and mine wasn't in 4:3.
Oh, that's odd.
But
In the
there,
neat is that Arthur in the neat job? Is she a child bride? I'm trying to figure that out. Is she like a young bride? And did he marry her?
Wait, are we talking? We're talking about the Glynnis Johns story now?
no, she's just she's taking care of her father. Her father died, didn't leave her any money, so she married Terry Thomas. But she's not a child bride. They weren't married for long. They only just got married. But he's he's kind of bored, and he's Cecily neat, and she's like the trophy wife because she's kind of like the she's too good looking.
This doesn't seem to match up to. I was just wondering if she's very young and stupid, or what the deal with him was.
No. I mean, later in life, she didn't have a career or anything like that, so they married. So I mean, she's middle aged.
Looks really cute for
because they weren't married. Because they weren't married for long. Because in the beginning of that story, I mean, he has a talk with his colleague, and he goes, "Oh, you're married."
Yeah.
So if it was a child bride, no one would have been shocked that he was married. Situation. So
okay, I was just wondering.
Yeah, I mean, she was also 50, kind of.
She looked extremely young to me, which is why I was like, well, she didn't look old at all. I was like thoroughly convinced she was in her 20s at this point. She looked good. Well, I was confused.
Yeah, no, I mean the thing, when I'm watching these films anyway, I always find it a bit difficult to figure out what age people are supposed to be because everyone looks a bit older these days than they do.
Well, I mean, yeah, you can't.
No, I do not agree that people look older these days than they did 50 years ago.
I'm talking about then. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. In those movies, yeah. 30 in 1973 looks like 72 now. It's strange.
Yeah, I guess. There's a lot. I wonder why that is. I don't know if it's fashion or just the way
diets have changed.
Diets have
like how old was Terry Thomas at this point? Terry Thomas at this point would have been. He was born in 1911, so he would have been in his 60s. So he's only about 10 years older than Glynnis Johns. So the idea, it's not that big of an age.
I just thought she was young and naive, and that's why he was being so shitty with her. That's all.
No, he wants, he's a confirmed bachelor. He gets married. By the time when most, you find this with confirmed bachelors anyway, that when someone marries a confirmed bachelor, they're so used to living on their own and having they want everything done a certain way.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't help that he has COPD either. Compulsive obsessive personality disorder. So that kind of tips things off a little bit as well. But yeah, so it's just basically that. And then to be honest, we all get set in our ways anyway. When we're in relationships, if you end up living with someone, that kind of takes you out of the ways that you do things, unless you have a really strong personality in that relationship. And if you have a really strong way in that relationship, then normally the other person has to adapt to the other person. But the thing is, the whole thing about I can kind of relate, because I remember what I could relate with in that story is, someone's coming home and all of a sudden you spill something and you want to get everything before they get there, and then one thing goes wrong and another thing goes wrong and another thing goes wrong. And I thought that was quite well done, actually, and I like the tongue-in-cheek way of the way that all played out.
Well, she was neat about putting all of his organs and stuff. Didn't she can him in the glass jar? So at least she didn't talk me.
That is such a great payoff. I love that payoff.
She's so cute in it, though. I don't know, something about Glynnis. Cute, she kind of cute, I guess. I don't know.
If you want to see a great Glynnis Johns movie, there's one from the late 40s, early 50s called All Mine to Give, where they have children, and the husband dies, and she dies, and she asks her eldest to give all her kids away. Heart wrenching. It's great film. I mean, I was like,
Sounds awful. That
it's
sounds terrible.
well, it's based on a true story, basically, about they're settlers. They moved out west, and and they had to go to the townspeople, and he's handing away his brothers and sisters. But she plays the mother in it, and she's fantastic. But yeah,
she would have been 100 in October. She passed away in January of this year. She would have been 100 had she just made it a couple more months.
Just so close to hitting the 100, and just like Corman, I thought he was going to make it.
I thought Christopher Lee was going to do it. I thought Forrest Ackerman was going to do it.
Yeah.
I thought Roger Corman was going to do it. We have yet to have that horror centennial.
Yeah.
Not yet.
That was a hard one. God.
And then the next day, Mark Damon died. So
I wonder if they even knew. I mean, if he knew that Corman had
probably not. He died 12 hours later. He might not even have known yet.
That's crazy.
So yeah, we're the
funny thing when I was watching this is with Daniel Massey.
Mm-hmm.
If they ever did a Daniel Massey biopic about him, the lead guy from Modern Family, the father, would make a perfect Daniel Massey because they kind of have the same kind of a face. I was noticing.
Yeah, they do.
And they get that vampire-like face,
which was perfect for
were
for
they
this kind
actually
of thing.
drinking in the Midnight Mess one? Was that supposed to be blood? Because it looked like the Cosmo to me.
Yeah, it's blood.
It looked like Cosmo. They weren't really like red,
Yeah, he thinks it's tomato juice. Then it's a little off. Well, it's our usual.
Oh, that's right. You're right. Yeah.
I love the setup of him going into the restaurant. They're like, "Hey, look, we're closing. You don't want to be in this town after dark."
Yeah.
And then immediately when he comes out after thinking he killed his sister, he goes back into the restaurant wondering why it's suddenly open. And what was they offered him? Clot pudding.
Yeah.
Clot pudding. What is that?
Clot. Yeah. Like
clot pudding. Blood clot.
Yeah.
And that's when he realizes he's not drinking tomato juice. I love that they open the curtains and the whole place is mirrored and no one has a reflection except for him. Absolutely great simple effect and simple storytelling, and it works for this because that's
well.
That oh shit, I am screwed moment.
Yeah. Yeah. Sort of like the Bergen and Death one when the guy wakes up at the casket and his buddies don't go back to get him on time.
Yep.
I could see why wanting money, but that is just, I will not go to certain lengths for anything. That would be way I wouldn't do it.
Which, out of all these stories, every time I watch Vault of Horror, this is the one I always forget is in there. Mm. Like to me, for whatever reason, it doesn't stand out, but it's got such a great morbid ending.
It is morbid, though.
Well, I also think it's because it's quite a short story. I mean, it's not 10 minutes.
Yeah, it's not long.
To be honest, I felt like the opening when they're all getting in the elevator, which is all done in one shot, which is quite good. I have this view because when you do an elevator shot and you got people in the elevator and the doors open and someone gets in, and because it's done in one shot and there's no cuts, I just picture people behind that elevator door like moving the sets around real quickly. So I was like looking to see what they do. And think, were they just changing the picture in the back wall?
Kind of reminds me of the train one. Can't remember the title. What was the title of that title? They're all on the train.
Oh, Dr. Terror's House of Horrors.
Yeah.
So, but yeah. But it kind of had that reflection of like when she goes, you better get in. No, it's not safe after dark. It always reminds me of The Haunting. No one will hear you in the dark. I like that.
I always say this, but I need to revisit The Haunting. I haven't seen the original Haunting in a while. I
watch it on a regular basis. So.
I recently rewatched The Legend of Hell House.
Yeah,
I like that one a lot too.
The series or the old movie?
The movie. I haven't seen the series yet. I've never really been big on TV, so I'll probably eventually see the Legend of Hell House series. But no, I mean the movie with Roddy McDowall. Interestingly enough, since we were talking about Planet of the Apes earlier, and actually I watched a really batshit movie with Roddy McDowall and Sally Kellerman and a very young Mark Ruffalo. It was a direct-to-video horror movie from the 90s called Mirror Mirror 2. And Sally Kellerman and Roddy McDowall are a mustache-twirling, brother and sister who are trying to exploit Sally Kellerman's younger sister to like get an inheritance or something. And the whole movie is just absolutely batshit insane. It's on Tubi if you want to see it. It's so over the top, and the dialogue is clearly there just to tell us what the hell's going on because you probably wouldn't know otherwise. But yeah, it's a fun one. It's on Tubi. It's called Mirror Mirror 2. You don't need to see Mirror Mirror 1. It doesn't matter. I've seen them both. One has nothing to do with the other, except for the fact that it's a haunted mirror. But yeah, definitely check that out. It's absolutely wild. So yeah, the other stories, This Trick Will Kill You, which, we have Kurt Jurgens of The Spy Who Loved Me, stealing a trick from I think they're father and daughter.
No, I think they're husband and wife, aren't they?
Or maybe they are husband.
Because they had one bedroom and they're staying in the same room.
No, I mean the couple they steal it from, I think, are a father.
Oh, yeah, I'm assuming.
This is the kind of thing that, like, it's kind of a dick move when the guy's doing the trick with the sword through his mouth. He goes up there and he pulls the fake sword and everything. But I mean, I kind of get why he would do it. But also, he says, as a magician myself, which, dude, if you're a magician yourself, all the more reason you shouldn't be doing this.
But it seems like what they do is they don't actually come up with any tricks themselves. They go around the world buying other people's tricks. So they're not even good magicians when you look at the magician's code situation. They're kind of breaking that magician's code.
Yeah.
Aren't they supposed to be coming up with their own illusions and their own ways of doing it? But now it seems like from what I know about magicians, I'm not a huge magician person situation. I've never, I don't mind watching them or something like that, but I don't know a lot about the art. But, I know that, they can't talk about, I know they're not allowed to talk about their craft unless you're part of the Magician Society.
Yeah.
So, but if they're going all over to these foreign countries looking for things that they can use in their act, it sounds like they're going around stealing things from people.
And in this case, murdering someone and stealing her trick.
Yeah. But because the easy way that he did it, I'm assuming that it's not the first time, because even the wife's not shocked that he killed the girl.
No, she's part of it. So
obviously they
helps him hide the body.
So obviously this is something that they do on a regular basis.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and they're totally cool with it. And then the last story is, I think this one opens and closes with I think the two most effective stories. So, like you said, I like all five, but Drawn and Quartered with Tom Baker.
I mean, that is basically Dorian Gray, but
yeah.
So
yeah, and I mean, it's there is one issue that I have with it, which is he places the painting of himself in the safe because he establishes that everything he paints at this point comes true. So when he puts the self-portrait in a safe while he goes out and makes Denholm Elliott kill himself, it's not until then that he starts to kind of suffocate a little. But he puts a painting in the safe like the day before. So this is a really delayed reaction to at least a day at this point. Really delayed reaction to him basically suffocating himself. Because I would assume in an airtight safe, you probably would not last a day and a half.
No,
this is
last an hour.
Yeah, this is my only issue with it, because otherwise I think it's a great story.
Did they all die though? Were they all damned at the end, or were they dreaming when they get off and they run the cemetery?
Oh, you're talking about the finale. No,
they're all dead.
They did all die in their story.
Yeah,
this is like Tales. This is like Tales from the Crypt. It's the same kind of framework that basically all these things have already happened to them. They said that they keep having a recurring dream, which means that they keep living this over and over and over.
Okay, so they're in a loop. That's what I was trying to figure out.
Most of these
It's
movies,
like they're purgatory.
Most of these movies, and now that we're at the end, most of these stories had that same twist ending. Dr. Terror's House of Horrors, you all actually died in a train crash. Tales from the Crypt, you're all actually in hell. This one, you're all, stuck in, you're already dead. The "you're already dead" thing was really overused by Amicus, but I'm trying to think if any of the other ones had it. Asylum didn't have it. A House That Dripped Blood didn't have it.
No, I think it's just Vault of Horror and Dr. Terror and Tales in the Crypt. Asylum doesn't have it. The next one doesn't do that. And Torture Garden.
Chronic Corridor was Tales from the Crypt. See, I didn't know this till I started taking notes. I was like confused for a second.
Because they're not dead, and well, you're not assuming they're dead. It's like things to come. Or no, Asylum they've done it before, but they're not going to hell.
Well, Asylum was figuring out who was actually the doctor. So that one,
yeah. But those that they did. I mean, what it does. I mean, what they do have with Tales of the Crypt and this one is that they have committed those crimes, or they have lived that life, and they've already done it. Torture Garden is what's to come.
Yeah, and the only one who was cool with it was Jack Palance.
Yeah, and the next one from the Beyond the Grave, when we get to that's kind of done in real time.
Yeah.
So
and that one has more of a that one really hammers home the morality message.
Yeah.
This one had a couple of Easter eggs. He's in Bargain in Death, the Tales from the Crypt novelization is being read, and there's Vault of Horror comics and all the different EC comics in the office. So that was kind of fun. I mean, there's going to be, we'll get to it in the next one. There was a moment in From Beyond the Grave where we had the character in the first story reading the short story The Vampire and the Werewolf by Art Chetwynd Hayes. So these movies have a couple of these little Easter eggs in them that if you're familiar with the source material, you'll find kind of cute. But yeah, overall. I really like this film. I guess we'll go to rating it, and then we'll move on to the next one, starting with you, Keith. How would you rate Vault of Horror?
I'm going to give it a solid 5. Every single story is great. I love the Bargain in Death. I like the twists of that. I love all the little twists and twists that it has. And, interesting point, though, because in video gaming, Resident Evil is done by the Umbrella Corporation. And Resident Evil games basically take a lot from different horror films, and they take classic horror films and they kind of put little Easter eggs in this. And if you look on the floor of Vault of Horror, that is the Umbrella Corporation who makes that starts off the whole Resident Evil series. That's their symbol. So I'm wondering if they stole that or they borrowed that for this film. But other than
well, it would be the other way around. Because the Umbrella Corporation, because the games are much later.
Yeah,
I'm not a big gamer, so I didn't know. I didn't know that about the symbol for the Resident Evil movies or games.
Well, even if you watch the movies, the Mila Jovovich, if you see the Umbrella Corporation and talking about that, is that hexagon with the pie thing in it. The only thing is it's red. They put the red and white in between them. So, but if you look at the later games, when Umbrella goes down, they take the red and white out, but they still use the symbol with the same color palette as the movie. So that's quite interesting. But yeah, I'm going to give it a solid 5. I can't see anything. To be honest, I actually like this better than Tales from the Crypt, the first movie, because I think it moves a lot faster and the stories are a lot tighter. And no disrespect to Peter Cushing, but it was kind of, in a way, it was after seeing them in succession, one after another. It's quite nice that we saw a movie where you had a holiday from.
Yeah.
I wonder what he was working on, because I know by this point he was just working all the time. Tales from the Crypt, like like we said when we covered it back in December, that one, it feels like that had three really strong, like there were no bad stories in that, but that one really was three very strong stories with two, that are a little weaker, like sprinkled in, because it's, you got an All Through the House, then you get the one with the guy leaving his family and getting in the car wreck, which is a little dipped down, but then you get the Peter Cushing story, which is a high mark in the movie, and then you go down because you get the one about the get the monkey's paw thing, which is a great twist ending, but the story itself isn't that great, and then it ends with the great blind alleys. This one was more consistent. I'll compare them when we get to me giving my thoughts. Vicki, what did you think of this one?
It lost me maybe once or twice, but
in what way?
Well, I mean, sometimes I don't follow. I mean, I was trying to follow a story. I could, like, at the end, I was trying to put it all together, but the bargain in death was bargain in death in Baltimore. Yeah, it was Baltimore. It was that one. I wrote that down.
Yeah.
I don't think we went over the one where we were talking about the impoverished fellow wanted to make music and he stole the music from the voodoo. That was like one of my favorite stories, all of it. But I guess I just couldn't. I guess they just made these different. I don't know that they're not like, I don't know. You've got to pay attention. It's almost like watching Dark Shadows. If you get up and leave, you're screwed. So you got to either stop the film or, make sure. I don't know. I mean, I got up and I missed something. And normally if I do that and I can't find where it was, I lose my place. But these are these are those kind of movies you can't get up and leave. You got to watch it.
Another thing is, the horror is kind of bizarre because I remember all these stories, but I didn't remember that they were all in this. For some reason, some of these stories I thought were
in other movies.
Or Night Gallery.
That's what I was thinking.
I mean, I could definitely see that. Yeah.
I got them confused. Well, see, I haven't seen this one since I was little. Like, 12, 13. We used to watch this stuff on Saturdays, like we always used to say. So it's been some time since I saw this one. But I mean, I really enjoyed all the stories. I'm going to give it a 4.5, 5. These are scary stories. They were actually quite well done. All of them were. They keep your attention, but you gotta get up and leave. At least I can't. I'm so ADHD, it's not even funny. But I mean, you got to watch these though. I really did enjoy the Haiti one though, where he borrowed the money and was renting the old studio, and he was, I don't know, you knew he was going to get it because you can't steal talent. You knew there was going to be a price to be paid. I just like how they're all cautionary tales.
And he didn't steal.
Suffers, even in the second one. If you're bad, you're going to suffer. So
he didn't steal the talent. He was talented. He just discovered that
it was kind of stealing though. He was
no. I mean, it was this agent, this art critic, and his agent, the art critic, and a gallery owner all did conspire against him by by saying that his work wasn't good, so that they could buy it really cheaply and then resell it for a lot of money, and basically cutting him out of the profits. So I mean, it's just the idea of using getting revenge is wrong. Like maybe have the authorities handle it instead of going out there and murdering them yourself.
Mm.
Well, I think that's what he did. Guy who lopped off that guy's head. The bargaining.
I like that. That also reminds me that's very true.
It was so inopportune.
But I like about it is that it was just a chain of events.
Yeah.
Like that.
We have two of those in this one because the Neat Job kind of has that whole chain of events thing, and that's how Terry Thomas is undone.
Well, it cracked me up because their name was Tom and Jerry. I mean, it was just, did they do that on purpose?
Probably,
yeah.
So I guess for myself, I'm going to go 4.5. I absolutely love this movie. Like back in my VHS hunting days when I was a teenager in the 90s, I remember finding this used in a video store and snagging it immediately because I'd only read about it in books. I don't think it's as strong as Tales from the Crypt because I think the 3 strong stories in Tales from the Crypt I feel are stronger than any of the stories in this one.
You think it's because it takes more time to tell the 4 stories as opposed to the shorter 3?
I don't. No, I don't. No, because I don't think that really matters as much to me. A story takes as long as it takes to tell.
Right.
These are more consistent. These are more consistently good, but I don't I don't feel that any of them are spectacular. Whereas Tales from the Crypt, I think, has 3 stories that are spectacular.
Right.
But overall, I love this movie. I remember shelling out $25 for a washed out VHS.
God.
A washed out VHS, like 3rd generation VHS tape of the UK print, because I wanted to see the spout go in the guy's neck. I wanted to see that whole thing. And, now the Blu-ray is, it's beautiful and it's there for everybody to see. And thank you, Scream Factory, for that. So yeah, this has always been a favorite of mine. I absolutely love this movie. This is one of those movies. It's the reason I wanted to do the Amicus movies when Keith asked what franchise we want to go through. So yeah, solid 4.5 for me. Absolutely awesome. And I guess we should move on to the final Amicus anthology film, and that would be Kevin Conner's From Beyond the Grave. All right, From Beyond the Grave is a 1974 British anthology horror film from Amicus Productions, directed by Kevin Conner, produced by Milton Subotsky, and based on short stories by R. Chetwynd Hayes. It was the last in a series of anthology films from Amicus and was preceded by Dr. Terror's House of Horrors, Torture Garden, The House of Drip Blood, Tales from the Crypt, Asylum, and The Vault of Horror. For customers, buy or steal items from Temptations Limited, an antique shop whose motto is "Offers you cannot resist. A nasty fate awaits those who cheat these shops' proprietor." Why can I not speak today?
Can't speak most days. Just
anyway,
charm, I get.
Anyway, we'll cut to the trailer and we'll be right back.
This is where the temptations begin. Limited temptations.
Can I help you at all?
I'll tell you what, I'll give you 25 quid to get rid of it.
It's a deal.
Each concealing a horrendous nightmare that reaches out from the dark world that lies beyond the grave.
Come in. Whoever you are, come in.
If you are looking for excitement, way beyond the normal. No. If you want to test your nerves beyond endurance, come beyond the mirror on the wall. Step beyond this door to the room of no return. Experience the evil with no name. Steel yourself for the visitor in the night. Every step you take brings you nearer the clutching terror from beyond the grave.
Find me another.
One quick stab. Just orderly.
We've got him! Where the white worms crawl from the sinner's grave, leave us forever.
Denied. DVD. Live.
Susan!
alive by the life essences of those who had been sacrificed to it.
And welcome back to Literary License Podcast. We're discussing From Beyond the Grave. And Vicki, why don't you take us through this one?
I really enjoyed these stories quite a bit. They were, I don't know if I wouldn't say they were comical, but everybody pretty much except one couple got what they were. I guess he kind of gave everybody the chance to come in and be honest in his store.
Yes.
So I mean, I don't know if he was the harbinger of doom or if he was the Grim Reaper or if he was just there to give everybody their just deserves or what. But I got a kick out of it because, I mean, you just didn't expect some of these people to be dishonest, like the guy who stole the snuff box. I thought he was going to kind of be okay. And then he Jews him down for another pound. He's going to get it for 5. He goes, how about 4? It's just like nothing like adding insult to injury. This guy is going to get it, right? Basically, everybody in there is just a shitbox.
The foreshadowing in that one, though.
When you get to the big door thing, I mean, that was just like that would have not come in my house. No, absolutely not.
The whole bit with the snuff box, because there's a reveal that Peter Cushing is watching him from behind that mask, and then he comes out. He knows all along what he's been doing.
Right.
He absolutely is aware of everything that's being done. But then I don't know if you caught the little line of dialogue after he buys the box. He tells him, "I hope you enjoy snuffing it."
Yeah,
that's great foreshadowing.
I mean, he just goes and he goes, "Well, you drive a hard bargain." It's just like he's telling the guy who's trying to rip him off that he's driving a hard bargain. Actually, after he changed the price tags, people like that are just shitbags. They just are. So everything that happened to him, he had a comment.
Yeah, I mean, well, basically the first 3. I mean, the whole moral of the story is the one couple who is okay and nothing bad happens. Yeah, the drawer is open. He could have easily swiped the money and ran off.
Well, you didn't really kind of know because he starts counting it. We're not sure if he was honest or not.
Yeah, and then after the story's over and we see they survive, he counts and it's all there. So we're good. So yeah, that's the only guy who survives it.
But Peter Cushing is so wraith-like in this. I mean, he's sullen. His face is sunken in. They've got him darkened.
Well, I think the fake eyebrows don't help.
Why do they do that to him with other movies? They give him those. You know what they do? They give him Barnabas Collins, like after episode 208 eyebrows. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, really
the big,
bushy,
furry, scary ass fucking eyebrows.
2 caterpillars. Two furry caterpillars on the top above the side.
Well, I mean, the cast in this, the cast of horror legends in this, because you have not only Peter Cushing, you have Donald Pleasance, and you have David Warner, all went on to, do great horror movies.
Well, I mean, I think any listener who's listening to this, if you can name me one David Warner film out there where he doesn't wear a neckerchief, I will give you a free T-shirt.
Is that his charm? Is that his trademark?
I don't remember. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I don't know, man. Did I just spoil this? Okay.
Even the Omen, he's wearing the neck.
Is he in there? He was he
is. I just watched the Omen last week. Yeah. Yeah, he's wearing it.
It just it was a style back then.
But the thing is, it's almost like, I mean, the thing about, I love David Warner, and this is not anything about his acting.
Right.
But it seems like every movie that he was in the 70s, he had the same wardrobe. He came in the same wardrobe.
What was that movie where he's Jack the Ripper going somewhere in time? Not somewhere in time, but oh gosh,
Time After Time.
Time After Time. Did he have one on in that?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, he did.
So, I guess you guys are right. He had one on.
So Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2 does not count as an answer because I already spoiled that one. If there's another one,
count.
Yeah, well, I already said it. I already said it. So yeah, you cannot say Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2. It's got to be one besides that he does not wear a neckerchief in.
Yeah. So, David Warner's one, the way this opens up in the gate.
So serious.
That is so well done, and I love the flip ending where he's stuck in the mirror and he's seeing, and he's on the wall and he just sees people living their lives on the
Like going decade after decade, time has passed.
Decade after decade, but it's always 70s.
But it's still 70s motif. But it's supposed to be like that movie Ghost, where things are supposed to be going along,
It is. Time's supposed to be passing, but I guess they could not imagine what time would be like after the 70s.
Well, see, the thing is, I can suspend a little belief in here because I was just watching it thinking, well, maybe, it all kind of looked like it was all done within like a 10-year span, these people moving to the house. So I kind of took it that because I also thought that, well, maybe the place is a rental, because the thing is, because the antique mirror stayed on the wall.
Right.
So that would be more like
a rental.
Renting a furnished flat.
Yeah.
So did he get these people that you really don't know? Did he get anybody? Did he get them to come? Because he's still in the mirror. So I'm assuming he hasn't gotten anybody to do anything.
No, not until they bring up the seance and the last couple at the end.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And that's when he first appears in the mirror again. Like, okay, now is my time. I really like this.
Is this guy a vampire? Were you saying he needs blood?
I got the feeling, based on how he was dressed, that it was supposed to be like a Jack the Ripper, Jack the Stripper thing.
Okay, yeah, possibly. Okay.
Like maybe this
is think that to bring someone back to life, if you look at ancient cultures, but like
the blood is the light.
To appease the gods or whatever, it's a human sacrifice.
Yeah, and that's what this one.
I was just trying to figure out if he was like a vampire kind of thing or not.
No, well, if you look at Hellraiser, let's take the movie Hellraiser, which I think kind of gives a little bit of a nod to this, but it uses a puzzle box. But to bring Frank back, she has to kill people so Frank can come back.
Yeah.
So I kind of put it into that kind of scenario that basically you have to you have to sacrifice to bring him back, because you don't see him sucking blood.
Nope.
To be honest, most of the blood's on David Warner. So
yeah, you would think when the downstairs neighbor, first of all, you have blood dripping through your ceiling. So you go up, the guy is covered in blood, looks like he hasn't slept in days, and you go back instead of calling the police when you see this, you decide to go back a couple minutes later and start pounding on the door again, and at
Wouldn't it start stinking after a while when you're putting people in your floorboards?
All right. Well, in this case, it wasn't the floorboards. It wasn't anything like that. But a friend of mine in Wisconsin, a mutual friend of Shanta's and I, was living in an apartment a year or two ago, and the woman in the apartment upstairs from her committed suicide, and nobody had found the body. Nobody knew, and I guess maybe her rent was going straight out of her bank account. But she started noticing spots in the ceiling, and started complaining to the landlord about the spots in the ceiling. They couldn't figure out what it was. They thought it might have been a pipe that burst or something, and that's where the spots were coming from. Finally, there was a smell that started coming through, and that's when finally they went into the apartment and found that she had already been decomposing up there.
Oh, good Lord.
So yeah, she was pretty traumatized by that.
I was very traumatized by that.
So yeah, that was
found that, or a friend?
No, a mutual friend of her and I.
I was gonna say poor kid.
Yeah, well, yeah, she was pretty young. She was like in her early 30s when this happened, so she's pretty young. So yeah, it's so this stuff does happen. But yeah, you would think, seeing the state of David Warner when you first went up there,
right?
Seeing the disheveled, he's turning gray from not really sleeping. And he chalks it up to, you have a lot of your lady friends over.
Well, he hasn't been eating or anything. Well, it's because he had a hooker go up there in the beginning, right? He saw him bring that girl.
Oh, that was another. How did he know she was a hooker? She's not dressed in any provocative way.
Knowing look on his face. He had that look. So here we go.
Well,
she was a hooker though, wasn't she?
Yeah.
Can you help me, Mike? Can you help me, miss? Sorry, the way she talks is like so East End. So,
it'll cost you extra.
Yeah. Sure, extra it will. So, I mean, the next one, the act of kindness, is a really good one as well.
Yes, one of the better ones. One of the ones that
down on Pleasance.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, the down on Pleasance. I mean, his daughter. I didn't realize it was his daughter. So you said something, and I was looking up the notes and stuff. Like, okay, but Yeah, I mean, the thing is, I mean, you have Dinah Dors. Dinah Dors was a huge sex symbol in the 50s here in the UK.
Yeah.
Then she kind of was like the English Marilyn Monroe.
Yeah, and by this point,
she was past that point. Yeah.
Yeah, she was not around much longer. She died in the early 80s. So she was only in her 40s here. She was in her 50s when she died.
And like Marilyn Monroe, if Marilyn Monroe lived, probably would have looked like this, because Marilyn Monroe had a huge weight problem and stuff like this, and hormones and everything like that with her hairy face and stuff. So they mirror each other quite well. But I quite like. But seeing Donald Pleasance pop up was excellent.
It's always good to see him. I love seeing Donald Pleasance just show up in movies.
And the twist at the end, where it was they were doing the bidding of the son and not him.
Yep. Also great. He's just tired of seeing his mom and dad fight all the time. That's it.
Well, I'd say that Ian Bannon was a nice looking guy, though.
That he was, yeah. I mean, for his, for his age and the time, yeah. I'm amazed because I cannot imagine that. I mean, it's an antique shop or a curiosity shop, so I guess maybe it's like I as a younger kid, I guess I always saw it as kind of like a pawn shop, but I guess it wouldn't be that. When he goes in to buy the medal, Peter Cushing tells him, well, I need to see your certificate that you won one of these. Otherwise, every Tom, Dick, and Harry would want one. And I always kind of found that to be interesting, that I would have thought these places wouldn't care. Like, if you actually had earned a medal, we'll just sell it to you anyway.
I thought the elemental one was pretty crazy, where he's trying to get it exercised away and it just destroys everything because he's trying to get rid of it. The little elemental is sitting on his shoulder. It's embedded in his shoulder.
Yeah, and she's the medium in that.
Margaret Leighton.
What have I seen her in?
Margaret Leighton is in Alfred Hitchcock's Under Capricorn. What else she's done? I mean, she's actually in the original Broadway play of Night of the Iguana. She played the Deborah Carr part in that.
Who's that?
I'm kind of thinking of
It's those glasses and those eyes.
Well, yeah, but she's one of these people. She was quite striking looking. She wasn't that sexy,
right?
But when you see her, she steals every scene that she's ever been in.
Yeah,
whether you see her in the Holly and the Ivy, or Waltz of the Troubadours, or Seven Women, or whatever she's done, she steals everything. She's done Alfred Hitchcock Presents as well. She did a couple of those. Frankenstein, the True Story, she's in that. The TV two-parter Frankenstein, she's in that as well. But whatever she's in,
okay,
which to this day I think is still the most accurate to the novel. Yeah, in this she's so over the top that she absolutely steals she carries this entire story. Like if you had somebody who wasn't as over the top as her in this, I think it would have suffered for it, because she's just chewing the scenery in this. She's amazing.
But I want to give Ian Carmichael a look here, because when you first see Ian Carmichael, you think, okay, this is the character. But when the imp leaves him, and the personality change that you see in his character and the way he acts, that fantastic. Because I just thought, when you see a lot of these English actors in these English movies, they all kind of act the same kind of way. They're always kind of like stiff upper lip and, very, very middle class English is what they're all part of the class system here. But when you see him shake it off and he feels lighter and everything like this, and you get that personality change, I thought that was quite an added little bonus. Because normally when you get that change, we don't really get to see that with longtime English actors, being a little bit light and airy.
Yeah, and his wife is the governess from the House That Drew Blood. Nairi Dawn Porter, who is the very likable governess who is taking care of Christopher Lee's daughter, which I actually didn't realize watching it last night. I just looked now and I saw the elemental Ian Carmichael, Margaret Leighton. Niley
The
Dawn
last
Porter.
story was where the kids' prayers were answered, right? Because they got rid of
That's the act of kindness. That's the Donald
That's the
Pleasance.
previous story.
the Donald. Okay.
Yeah, where there's the voodoo doll.
Was that the last one? The kid was
No.
the last one? No.
No,
Okay.
No, the
one
last
is The
one.
Door with Leslie Ann Down and Ian Ogilvy, which
Okay.
Ian Ogilvy to me always feels like he went to the Michael York School of Acting.
I can see that. Yeah, I remember him best as being the second lead behind Vincent Price in The Conqueror Worm or The Witchfinder General, depending on whether you're in the US or the UK. He's the guy that's supposed to marry. He's a young soldier who's supposed to marry Hilary Dwyer, but Vincent Price, as the titular Witchfinder General, abducts her and brands her. Basically forces her to either marry him or be branded a witch. So he'll execute her. So he's great in that as like the this young soldier who's trying to get his sweetheart back, and he's great here too. I mean, he had that kind of sympathetic face that kind of lended to him being like this kind of hero. The kind of heroic roles. But outside of this and now The Screaming Starts, I don't think I've seen him in anything else. I think I've only seen him in a couple of horror movies.
Yeah, well, he does a lot of TV. He was in Return of the Saint in the 70s.
Okay.
When they brought the TV series back. He did a lot of Murder, She Wrote.
Really?
Oh, and he's in The Sorcerers with Boris Karloff.
Yeah. Well, he would just pop up. I mean, you'd be watching Walker, Texas Ranger, and he'd pop up in an episode, or Melrose Place, or Murphy Brown, or whatever, and he would always pop up. He's one of these people that always pop up. But I mean, I think he was supposed to be one of these romantic leads, but it never really came out. But his career never materialized, so he became kind of like a name, but he didn't really get that high. I mean, he shows up in Puppet Master 5, the final chapter.
That's right. See, all I've seen him in is horror movies. I've never seen him in anything else.
Well, he's got a pivotal role in Death Becomes Her. He is Chagall in Death Becomes Her,
which is kind of horror adjacent. So that's why I would have seen who. I don't remember him in that. It's been a long time since I've seen Death Becomes Her.
I haven't seen that in almost 20 years.
Well, he doesn't. I mean, he's in what? And Now the Screaming Starts with Stephanie Beacham as well.
Yeah. That was the third movie that I remembered him from. I completely forgot about him in Puppet Master 5. And yeah,
he always appears. He's always like a pivotal character, whatever he pops. Like Chagall.
Oh yeah,
a character in that, or in Puppet Master, or whatever. He always, when he does appear, he tends to be a pivotal character. But he's kind of the one that was always meant to be. I think, to be honest, I think him and Michael York probably were up for the same roles, and Michael York is the one that surpassed.
Whatever happened to Michael York?
Well, I think last thing I
do a whole lot after that, did he?
No, Michael York's done a lot.
Austin Powers movies, Logan.
Michael York's done a lot.
Was he in Austin Powers?
Yeah,
all three of them. But they have like the same kind of speech pattern and the way they handle themselves, and it's like that the young romantic lead, and there's that kind of, they're very, very similar sort of thing. But
I never put that together until you just mentioned it.
Because when I first heard him talk, I was like, I was watching it and I heard him talk. I was like, is that Michael York? And then I was like, no, it's Ian Ogilvy. So
he's always been likable enough in anything I've seen him in. It's just he was never an actor that like I sought out anything that he was in. But yeah, I'm seeing it here with Meryl Streep and Goldie Hawn and Death Becomes Her.
Good movie. I haven't seen that in so long.
I mean, I like The Door. I like the way they did it. I like the going, at midnight the door opens and it's in this other world. And I love like tearing down the door, which tears down him and tears down the room.
Well, they had to axe it to death, I guess, because the door was actually it was like him, it was alive like he was. He just manifest from another century with his door, and he just kind of just does his thing. People put this door up wherever.
Well, I mean,
I guess so.
I mean, Leslie Ann Downs, it's good seeing her again.
She's a very young Leslie
people
Ann
that she's kind of a name, but she never really kind of took off. I think I saw her. What was she in? Sunset Beach. She was in that. Days of Our Lives, Bold and the Beautiful, that kind of Beastmaster 3. But
well, she was in Victor Victoria and a couple others in the 80s.
You're thinking of Leslie Ann Warren.
That was Leslie Ann Down then, right?
Yeah, this is Leslie Ann.
Oh my God, that was making me crazy. I know. Well, she was in North and South. She was a very big TV series queen, like Susan Lucci, kind of.
She did like a lot of big movies, but for some reason
she was young in that. That was making me crazy. I know that voice. I know that voice. It was making me nuts.
I mean, she was in Brannigan with John Wayne, Pink Panther Strikes Again, the first great train robbery.
She's done a lot.
She's done a lot. Night Trap.
She did a lot of Bold and the Beautiful and Young and the Restless the last 10 years, though. She's been doing the soap opera circuit. I don't know what she's doing now, though.
Yeah. I mean, I remember her in Sunset Beach, so it's like
still a beautiful woman.
She's probably still active.
Yeah.
I would assume she's still active. She's just not in stuff that we're seeing.
Yeah. So
this little known movie with Frank.
Oh no, she retired. She retired from acting. She retired from acting in 2020.
Yeah, I haven't seen her in anything.
The only annoying thing about her in this movie is that he grabs her, he drags her there. I don't know what he'd done to her, but she's unconscious. She falls to the ground. He fights her. I don't know.
I don't see how she hit her head or whatever either. But
well, I mean, the thing is that he kind of rolls her to the side while he's fighting to her, and then she kind of starts crawling to the door, and you're like, God, for God's sakes, woman, your life's in danger. Move a bit quicker, will ya?
Yeah. She was really slow. I have to admit that was slow motion.
So while she has technically retired, she's apparently already come out of retirement because she's going to be doing a Ronald Reagan biopic where she's going to be playing Margaret Thatcher. And the cast to this is pretty decent. Dennis Quaid is going to be Ronald Reagan. Penelope Ann Miller is going to be Nancy Reagan. We have C. Thomas Howell, Kevin Dillon, John Voight, Mina Suvari, Robert Davi, Xander Berkeley.
I saw him in a rendition of War of the Worlds the other day. I had no idea he did a version of War of the Worlds.
Oh, who's that?
I did not get that time of my life back. Do not.
Who's that?
So.
Who
are you talking about? C. Thomas Howell's done a lot of weird from. I think he played the Hillside Strangler in one movie.
Yes, he did.
Yeah, he's in The Hitcher Part 2. I think he's in the Rutger Hauer role.
Yeah.
So he
just shows up. He just shows up.
He's in a lot of movies.
Oh yeah, The Hitcher 2. Yeah, that's true. So no, I think about The Hitcher remake. That was Sean Bean, but yeah, Hitcher 2. Yeah, you're right. So
yeah, like I the only reason I know that is because I was actually planning to watch The Hitcher 2 tonight. So that's the only reason that movie came to mind.
You get to see his manhood and everything in that Netflix series where he's shaking it around naked.
Which one?
It's about the FBI agents who go partying, and they thought they caught some bomber. And so they have this party and they all take drugs and get drunk and everything like that. And then in the middle of the party, while they're all high, they realize they didn't get the guy and they have to go back on the case. So
okay.
It's a fun. I can't remember the name of it at the moment. It totally
sounds kind of engaging. Okay.
It's fun. You watch it and it's, you enjoy it and stuff like this, but it's on Netflix. So
I got nothing but time this weekend, except for actually got a couple things.
Well,
I got plenty of time to watch movies this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, but see Thomas Howell. I mean, he's looking scraggly now, but he's
he's got to be he's just like 63, 64 now.
Yeah. The name of the series is called Obliterated.
Yeah, I've seen it, but I haven't watched it.
It's quite fun. It's a fun series to watch.
I'm still just freaked out that I have to wait 2 more years to watch the 3rd installment of Dune. I'm fucking pissed. I'm mad.
He's near 60. He's 57. So.
Oh, he is. He's younger. Oh my
younger
God.
Than you thought.
That's like who was it? I found out was younger today. Who was it? And I kind of swore he was older.
Oh, see Thomas Howell.
Yeah, he's 57.
I have something to say though. He's an old-looking 57.
Well, he always looked older than he was. Yeah.
Yeah, he always did.
Well, he looked younger up until like into his 30s because he's always playing high schoolers at the age of like 25, 26. And then something happened between 40 and 50 where he just like those years of playing all those young characters and being cast as quite young. So like it's like we're gonna take those years back, we're gonna give you back those years now. It's like, whoa, what happened?
Hey, I give him credits. He's still working. That's the important thing.
Yeah. I mean, I like him. I got, it's a bit like, but he didn't fare like the other ones did. If you look at Ralph Macchio, who still has a youthful appearance, Tom Cruise.
I don't know. Ralph Macchio didn't look too youthful in the series on Netflix. I think he's starting to look, middle age, our age kind of.
Yeah, he's starting to, but he still looks good for his age.
Oh yeah,
he's still
Matt, I mean, if you look at
they all look fantastic. I thought,
if you look at all the Outsiders cast, see Thomas Howell looks like the oldest of them all.
Yeah,
Matt Dillon, and he was the young.
Let's see, there was Tom Cruise in that, Patrick Swayze,
Ralph Macchio.
Yeah, I had him. He had the two brothers.
Matt Dillon.
Heather Langenkamp, Diane Lane.
Yeah, but you had Charlie Sheen. You had his brother. Who else? We're missing somebody.
Emilio. But the thing is, if you look at them, they've all. C. Thomas Howell was the baby of that cast. You look at him now. C. Thomas Howell looks like the oldest of the cast.
Well, we all are Scientologists, I guess there's something to Scientology.
We haven't seen Charlie Sheen in a while, so who knows how he looks.
No kidding.
He's looking rough.
Is he? I wouldn't doubt it.
Those drugs and alcohol and prostitutes have caught up with him. So
what about Emilio Estevez? Have anybody seen him around?
He was.
Yeah, he's directing. He doesn't want to. He doesn't want to. Yeah, he's not in front of the camera as much anymore. Though he's in. There's a documentary about the Brat Pack that's coming out, and
I saw
they interview Emilio. You can see him in the trailer. He's still. Yeah,
that looks really good. I might watch that. Looks interesting.
I mean, Emilio always had a fuller face anyway, so it wouldn't be as craggly. But the funny thing about Emilio Estevez and Charlie Sheen is they both look like their dad, but they don't look like each other.
No,
not
at all.
That is a very weird thing.
Not at all. That's true. I've always wondered about that.
Which is also the case with Joe Estevez and Martin Sheen, where they look enough alike and sound exactly the same. They sound identical. Look enough alike, but not that much alike. It's really strange.
Yeah. Same thing with what's his name, Owen and Luke.
Charlie Sheen is looking. Emilio's looking good, but Charlie, he be looking rough.
I mean, who knows how old that picture is? That might be 10 years old.
This is recent. This is E-News last year.
Okay.
Emilio was in the Mighty Ducks TV series last year.
Yeah. Oh,
I never watched it. I never watched the TV series, so I didn't. I forgot about it.
Quite good, and I don't like that stuff, but I actually like that.
But I mean, Emilio went more to directing as soon as Bobby came out, and it was up for a lot of awards, which is a really good film. I highly recommend it. After that, he cut Bobby
about Bobby Kennedy.
Oh, okay, I haven't seen it. Okay,
excellent movie. It's very good.
Okay.
But after that, because he got a lot of recognition, and the movie, was up for awards and stuff like that, he kind of
kidding. How did that one get by?
He kind of went more into the directing side of it. So,
and that was actually the last thing to be filmed in that building, and then it was torn down.
Which building's that, Joe?
Where Kennedy was shot.
Oh,
the building was torn down after
Bobby
the movie.
Kennedy?
Yeah, the building was torn down after the movie.
No shit.
Yeah, I think they put a university campus or something on it now. But yeah,
but the thing,
Bobby's very
bad
good.
mojo.
Yeah, but the thing about Emilio films, he always has great cast in it. I mean, The Way has a great cast. He put his father in there, but the public is like a who's who.
They both, both Charlie and Emilio, I would say, were both A-listers, but Emilio did the more high class stuff, the more high end movies.
I don't think Charlie was looking for high end class. The last,
Charlie, you're going to see in Hot Shots and stuff like that, where it's.
Was it Stakeout with that movie with Richard Dreyfuss and
that was Emilio.
That's Emilio.
That's Emilio. Okay.
See, Emilio. The thing about Emilio, Emilio had going for him is that because he got cast in the Outside,
was Emilio. Okay.
That made him part of the Brat Pack, and the Brat kept him moving, with the
Well,
breakfast.
technically,
thing.
Charlie Sheen could have probably belonged to that. Well, even Jennifer from what's her name?
Jennifer Grey.
You should definitely check out at least the trailer.
They could have been part of that. I wonder what made
Well,
the Rat Pack.
but the thing is if you look
We
at
have a documentary coming out, so we'll find out.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
In the trailer, they discuss how much they hated being called that. So
it omitted certain people. I thought that's all.
Well, the thing is the Brat Pack, but the reason why they're called the Brat Pack anyway, and Charlie Sheen wasn't part of the Brat Pack. The Brat Pack, the reason why they're called the Brat Pack is these people used to also hang out together.
Right.
So they would go to Vegas together as a group. They would do movies together. They would hang out together. They would party together. They would date each other.
Yeah.
That's what made you a part of the Brat Pack. So, and so it wasn't about just working together. It was about hanging out together. We're the best of friends and da 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 da. And then, of course, once Demi Moore starts like dating her way through the Brat Pack, that kind of broke them all up. So,
Yeah.
Let's put it this way: Emilio Estevez dated Mimi Rogers.
Yeah.
They break up. Tom Cruise marries him. He's engaged to Demi Moore, from 84 to 86. She breaks up and goes out with Judd Nelson.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if you look at, that's going to break up a group of friends right there. As soon as if you start switching your partners like that. Yeah.
Yeah, that'll do it.
So, but there's
I guess.
But there's some good stuff. There's some good stuff out there. If you want to see more about the Breakfast Club, they showed up at the Philly Comic-Con, and they brought them all out, and they're all talking. The only one that didn't show up was Emilio, but Judd Nelson and Ali Sheedy. I think Ali Sheedy is.
She looks really good. She's doing pretty good too.
Yeah, but they kind of, Molly Ringwald does mother roles now, so.
Yeah, when she's not complaining about her whiteness. Yeah. It's like, shut up. Don't ruin the 80s for us. But yeah, can't beat that movie. Can't beat the soundtrack.
How the hell did we get to the Brat Pack?
I do not know. We were talking about Emilio Estevez.
How did we get to Emilio Estevez? I'm trying to.
You guys started it.
All right. Well,
C. Thomas Howell. It went from C. Thomas Howell.
Oh, from Leslie Ann Down.
That started
because Leslie Ann Down is in a Ronald Reagan biopic with C. Thomas Howell. That's how we got to circle back to Leslie Ann Down. That's how it happened.
At least we can trace our roots back now.
Yeah, C. Thomas Howell.
So it did have something sort of kind of.
Yeah, it started. Yeah, we were wondering what Leslie Ann Down's doing. She retired from acting in 2020.
But she's
came back all ready to do a Ronald Reagan biopic with Dennis Quaid and C. Thomas Howell and Robert
Davi. Kind of
Davi.
interesting, actually.
So yeah, I don't know when that's coming out. It's listed here as 2024. So that's how. All right. So did we get to all the stories? I think we did. So I guess, it's time to close the book on Amicus. Let's rate From Beyond the Grave, starting with you, Vicki.
I'm going to give this one a 5 because all the stories were really good. They were scary, and I don't know. It's just this one held my interest more so than the other ones for some reason. I really enjoyed all the stories. I think I enjoyed the what was the story? What was it called? The Lady with the Glasses. I enjoyed that one.
The Elemental.
The Elemental, just because he thought she was crazy and it was burrowing in his shoulder. And it's just like she was just trying to help him, but it was so random. She was, you got an elemental. Like, yeah, whatever, lady, But it had a great cautionary tale to it as well.
In a way, kind of creating her own business. I have the novelization of this actually somewhere. She's on the cover is her with her hands up as she's exercising the elemental.
Well, it destroys the house, does it not? I mean, it's like the hell of an elemental. I mean, he's really some bitch to get rid of, I guess. So.
Well, aside from the Donald Pleasance story, all the houses get destroyed in this one.
Yeah,
Because
they
even that
really
apartment,
did tear it up.
and it is weird because you never think of this, but in the very first story, they show the guys ripping out the blood covered wallpaper.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. That's
They
right.
show them just ripping out and also the first story, the neighbor downstairs is all these stories are by Art Chetwynd Hayes, as is the Monster Club, which we'll be covering soon. And he's actually reading the story, The Vampire and the Werewolf, from the novel or from the short story collection, The Monster Club by Art Chetwynd Hayes. So that's going to kind of tie in. So yeah, what about you, Keith? What did you think of this one?
I'm going to give it a solid 5. I also think that what makes this movie quite important is that I am sure that Stephen King was a fan of this movie because we got Needful Things, which is kind of the same premise.
Oh, I didn't think of that. Yeah.
And I also think this was kind of like the precursor to Friday the 13th, the TV series about
How so?
Well, it's about cursed objects. People, and Friday the 13th, the TV series. Basically,
gotcha.
they inherited the shop. They inherited the shop, and they had to bring all these cursed antiques back. Which, to be honest, I have all those on DVD. That series.
Same here.
Fantastic series, actually. It's so underappreciated. But back to this, I think this is like a precursor to that, and I'm sure that whoever came up with that concept for that series was a fan of this movie because there's a lot of the cursed objects and all the other stuff that goes on with it. But I also I think Peter Cushing working as like the Crypt Keeper, like Ian Richardson and Crypt Keeper and stuff like this. I think it flows better. I it's a bit like Asylum and The House That Screamed Blood. I prefer this kind of structure where it's kind of like, people are taking cursed objects or they're mental patients. And so you get these, anthology or the people who are moved into this house kind of stories. Because I think that flows a bit different than a bunch of strangers caught in a room and they're sharing their dreams and they're all dead. So for me, this works a lot better. And I also find it quite surprising that normally when you have a series of films, they kind of start at the top and they slowly work their way down. They slowly slide down into the gutter. Where this is bizarre because these last 2 films that they did are fantastic, and this is the end of it.
Yeah,
they end at the high note. It's like fantastic. I'm in awe about that.
Yeah, and as for me, it's a 5-star for me. This is one of my favorites of the Amicus portmanteau movies. I absolutely adore this one. I absolutely love it. I always like you. I like the Peter Cushing as the shopkeeper interludes, and at the end, the guy who keeps trying to rob the place finally goes in and tries to rob the place, and he shoots Peter Cushing.
Oh yeah, we can't forget about him because he keeps making this periodic, announcement of his visits here and there. You don't really don't know what he's about until he finally does what he's going to do.
Yeah.
Well, we also find out that Peter Cushing is
not human.
Yeah, he's not human because, he fires at him. It doesn't hit him. He throws the guns at him. But we also know the skeleton almost comes alive to throw him in the box as well. Yeah. So it's like everything in the shop's alive to a certain extent.
I love cool shops like that. Not that anything's going to do that to you in actual shops, but just fucked up shops like that in general. With the weird crap in them, I just love stuff like that.
It's just randomly
full of those funny shops. Well,
the alligator he's carrying around, he was talking about that as this is a really fine item. The alligator.
But those curiosity shops and stuff like that you saw Peter Cushing in, those shops are still very much alive in London.
There's a few in Chicago.
We got some here, and we got them all over actually. Not that nice. That would be so cool to walk into something like that.
It'd be so cool to walk in and see Peter Cushing behind the counter or anything like that.
Cool
I'm definitely going to pay you. I am not going to try to steal from you.
Oh, no kidding. No kidding.
I don't need that karma. But yeah, I absolutely give this one a 5. I love this one. It's one of my favorites. One of my favorites of the series. And Peter Cushing bookends as the host in the entire run of the series. The first one, Dr. Terror's House of Horrors, he's not in the stories. He's he's basically the one taking us through it as he is here. So that's kind of interesting. So,
and I like it when he breaks the fourth wall as well.
Oh, at the very end, and he's telling us to come in, and he's definitely got something that'll tempt us. So, a lot of factors here. Obviously, Rosenberg had brought in a new partner, which had started to alienate Milton Subotsky. Amicus was still around for a couple years after this, but they, this is the last of the anthology horrors that they were so well known for. The movies they made after this, that's the other.
This never turned into anything else. What
else was it going to turn into? No, he ended up doing other stuff. He did produce a couple more anthology films after this. He produced The Uncanny, which we watched back in November.
Right.
And he produced The Monster Club, which we'll watch, I think, next month. And it's the last of him doing the anthologies. He did start producing other stuff. He produced one of my favorite Stephen King adaptations, Sometimes They Come Back. I think that was his final film. But yeah, the Rosenberg-Subotsky team started to kind of fall apart. The quality of the movies really dips after this. This is like the last truly great Amicus film. Although at the Earth's core, the rubber monsters are so terrible that it's fun to watch because of that. But there was also another big shift. This is 1974.
Horror went through a weird kind of thingy in the 70s.
And this is the big year, because this year you have Black Christmas, The Exorcist, and the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. So this kind of horror movie is immediately passé when those are coming out.
Yeah.
And horror took a weird dip in the 70s, which is kind of bizarre. I mean, if you look at most of your 70s horror films, there was a transition going on. And by the 80s, slasher flicks became the rage.
Yeah.
But the way of making movies changed as well. So, 70s, I always think of 70s as gritty and 80s being glossy. 90s got glothier. But just by the way, even the way the films are being made. I mean, look at Exorcist, The Omen and all that. There's a gritty style to them, but by the time you get to 82, the horror films that are coming out they look a bit more glossy and cleaner looking. Films in the 80s were a lot cleaner looking. Everything it looked like everything. It looked like someone came in. It looked like someone came in and cleared all the grime off everything.
Yeah.
Basically,
they're a little grittier looking. The 70s. It doesn't matter what film it is; they're just grittier looking.
French Connection, Serpico, Dog Day Afternoon, Godfather. They all look dirty.
Well, it's because you have all these indie filmmakers that basically the studio system started to fail, and you started getting the rise of the indies. And by the 80s, all those young independent filmmakers like your Spielbergs, your Scorseses, your Coppolas were all brought into the studios. So now the guys who are making these gritty movies are now making the glossy movies. Even Tobe Hooper, Texas Chainsaw Massacre is one of the grimiest movies ever made. And then by the time you get to Poltergeist, everything's clean. Everything's clean and beautiful.
Well, even Spielberg, I mean, you look at Duel. You compare that to E.T. or anything else. It's so.
Yeah. Even Scorsese, Boxcar Bertha, Mean Streets, Taxi Driver, all this grimy grittiness to it, and then it starts to gloss up. That's what happens. They go and they pluck the independents, and they start bringing them in, and they're making these glossy movies now. Just the way of the world. But yeah, horror in 1974 specifically was going through a massive change, and that kind of killed this style of movie in a way. I mean, although anthology movies would be made, you'd have Creepshow a couple years later, but
I think it's Carrie that kind of changed the look of horror into a way as far as the way a film should look. Because if you look at Carrie's not as grimy as the other stuff, and that's 76.
Yeah.
So, and by that, and then I think,
and then even Halloween doesn't look grimy.
No, and that's 78.
78. So yeah. So what you basically started seeing is, like with everything else, you started getting the big tonal shift in horror to where we're going to move more towards more extreme horror. And this stuff is really, the Amicus movies are very family friendly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even compared to Hammer Films, because Hammer Films around this time was doing like the lesbian vampire movies, like the Vampire Lovers, Lust for a Vampire, Twins of Evil, Countess Dracula. That was all during this time period. So there's a lot
of strippers.
Yeah,
a lot of big-breasted women and bodices. So
that's
all they are is bodice rippers.
And unlike the 50s and 60s, where it was, it was hinted at, like you'd see, Veronica Carlson in Dracula's Risen from the Grave. She's got the big boobs. She's got them under her corset, and the corset never comes off. By the time you get to Frankenstein Created Woman, not Frankenstein Created Woman, Frankenstein Must Be Destroyed in the 70s, her boobs are out. And it started happening with Hammer Films, and around this time,
I was so surprised when I noticed that there was boobage in all those movies, because I was watching that shit when I was 10, 11 years old. I had no idea there was boobs in any of those movies until
most of the time it's because we watched them on TV.
Yeah,
the ones
I did.
The ones in the 70s did. The ones in the 50s and 60s Hammer Films had no nudity.
No, but I mean, I was just shocked when I realized, many years later that they had nudity in them, because I had no knowledge of that when I was younger.
I mean, look at Witchfinder's General. I mean, that's got a lot of it.
Oh, yeah. Witchfinder General has a lot of it. But yeah, the major shift in horror was happening, and Amicus just got left in the dust. And be around like 2-3 years more.
How old was Milton Zabriskie when Amicus started? He was like in his 40s, wasn't he?
Yeah.
So I think I think if he was younger, we probably would have seen a different look to everything.
Well, he also didn't like, the modern horror that was coming out at the time.
Well, that's what I was saying. I think he was stuck in his era.
Yeah.
Because his era would have been the 50s. So
he was not a fan of like The Exorcist or any of that stuff. He thought horror should be more family friendly and not intensely violent, but ultimately he did not win out. But these are the kinds of movies, you look back over the course of us covering these movies, whether it's Dr. Terror's House of Horrors, The House that Drew Blood, you could show them to your kids.
Yeah.
And
there's no sex in them. There's not even hinted sex. Even the married couples are.
Well, the married couples all seem like they hate each other.
Yeah, that's true.
And they're wearing more clothes in bed than they are outside.
Even in this movie, like I mentioned with the prostitute, how did he know she was a prostitute? She's fully nothing.
True.
She looks like a woman walking down the street, but somehow he knew.
Because of what she says to him, that's going to cost extra.
But
he approached her first.
Yeah, exactly. He approaches her.
If I saw her,
how would he know?
If I saw her walking out here, I think, she just got out of school.
Yeah, I would not look at the prostitute from the first story and think that's a hooker.
No.
So even the hookers in the universe of these movies are very, dressed very conservatively. It's so strange. But yeah. So this is sadly the end of Amicus. We'll continue with some more anthology movies, which Keith will get to in a moment. And yeah, overall, like I said, I love these movies. I'm glad we got to cover them.
Yeah.
Well, this brings us to the end of the Literature License Podcast. Next week, we'll be doing Make Remake. We'll be doing The Incredible Journey from 1963 and their remake, Homeward Bound, The Incredible Journey from 1993. And our book to screen will be continuing in June with Once Upon a Time with Ray Bradbury's Something Wicked This Way Comes and the 1983 Disney film with the same name. And Batman the Animated Series continues with Batgirl Returns, Cold Comfort, Sins of the Father, and Double Talk. And again, Dark Families returns with Paranorman from 2012 and Tim Burton's Frankenweenie from 2012. And anthologies will continue with two English cult classics, the 1981's The Monster Club and 1984's The Company of Wolves. So it's good night for myself and good night, Joe.
Good night, everyone.
Good night, Vix.
Good night, everybody.
And we'll see you next week for the incredible journey and homework.